Hi, and welcome to Love in the Morning. That's not love in the AM, it's love in the morning, as in grieving. So, welcome. And today we're going to talk a little bit about hugs. And the reason I want to talk about it is an experience I had recently. Actually, just last week. I turned 64 just last week, last Friday. And, I'm not someone who actually really likes to celebrate my own birthday. I like to celebrate other people, but I'm not really into celebrating myself. I've had a really hard time with it. And I just don't really like to be the center of attention. I love to celebrate other people. But anyway, the reason I decided I wanted to celebrate and I actually planned my own birthday party was because I was turning 64. A number, an age that John never got to reach. He was 63 when he died, and just a few months short of his 64th birthday. Now, he wasn't a big birthday guy either, but getting older is such a privilege. Not all of us get to meet. And, as grievers, we start to do things we've never done before. We start to look at things in a unique and different way. And I started really looking at I really actually got very anxious thinking, when am I going to be older than him? And not all of us. That's not always the case. Sometimes we're older than them when they die. But for me, he was older than me, and now I'm older than he got to be. So I knew I was turning 64 this year, and I did the math on what would the day be when I would actually be one day older than John was when he died. And I did the calculation, and it was April 22nd, 2025. Ironically, it's my sister's birthday. And I remember getting very anxious coming up to that day, thinking it was so unfair. And that's when I decided that I was going to celebrate my 64th birthday for both of us. Now, John didn't love celebrating his birthday either, so it's kind of weird. But I really felt like it was important. And I'm not going to justify it, it's what I thought. There was a lot of conflicting feelings in this moment. So I planned the party. I had it catered. We had an amazing cake made. The food was incredible. I invited a very eclectic group of people that have really impacted my life in different and really special ways. People that knew John, people that didn't know John. It was a beautiful night, and it was a 60s themed night, and we made a signature cocktail that was purple, which is one of my favorite colors, and it was just a really nice night, and I'm so appreciative to everyone who came. Well, in the background of this, I had started a conversation with a man that I knew when I was 16 and 17. He was someone that I thought I had been in love with, and honestly, when I look back at that time in my life, I'm not even really 100% sure I was in love with him, but you never know. Until I met John. John was where I actually really understood what love was and what love is, and I felt very blessed. I still feel very blessed that we found each other and we fell in love, and that love grew and it continues to grow. But this man that was in my life, I believe, was my first love. Now, we haven't seen each other or talked to each other in over 45 years. And we started talking, and I'm going to be completely transparent here. It was very much me trying to connect with him. And I was looking for something. I thought I was looking for a relationship. I'm like, if I can't have John, what if I find this other person who once loved me, I think, and knew me? Maybe we could get together. Maybe we could have this relationship, this long long distance relationship, but it would be like a connection. And anyway, he was not, I really don't, I think this was probably overwhelming to him. Not much of a talker. And I think I made him very uncomfortable. And I felt very embarrassed. And then we just talked a little bit after I got some weird stuff out of my system. And before my birthday, I had messaged him and said he has a band, and I love music, live music. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone right now, and it says 11:11. John is thinking of me right now. He's watching and hearing all of this. Anyway, he plays in a band, and I asked him, I said, when is your band playing next? I'd love to come see you play. And he gave me 2 dates, and one of the dates was the 5th of July, which is the day after my birthday. And I'm like, what? Because I wanted to take some of John's ashes. That's the other thing that I was creating in this birthday, this celebration, this honoring moment. I wanted to take some of John's ashes to where we met. And we met in Dundurn, Saskatchewan, which is about 20 kilometers outside of Saskatoon, Blackstrap. And the detachment, I was in the reserves and John was in the regular force when we met. Anyway, so it just lined up. My sister said, sure, I'll come with you. So my oldest daughter came and took care of our puppies, our animals, and off we went the day after my birthday. We drove to Saskatoon. It's a 5-hour drive. It was lovely. I booked a hotel for us, and we stayed at the hotel that John and I had stayed at. And, surprisingly, it wasn't painful. It was just really nice, and it's different, and it's a beautiful old hotel. And I booked it because it was close to where the club was, the bar. It's an old bar in Saskatoon where the bar was. So we could walk. So we got ourselves dressed, got ourselves ready, and we started to walk. Well, the bridge to where we were going was out. Well, we met this wonderful man who said, follow me, I'll take you there. My brother goes there. He's a regular. He has a seat that he likes to sit in. I have a golf partner that's there, and I like to go there too. It's a very famous place. And we're like, great. So this guy's just walking really fast, and we're following him, and it's really humid, and we're sweating. And I'm like, this is great. I'm going to see this man that I haven't seen in 45 years, and I'm going to look like a disheveled mess. I look like that most of the time. So we get there, we walk in, and I had no fear. I had no fear at this point. I had no fear the whole time, actually. I walk in, and I see that he's up on the stage behind this, it was a screen. I could see his feet, and I knew it was him. I don't know why I knew it was him, but he was tuning his guitar. So I walked around the side, and I looked up at him, and I said, hey. And he said, Kathy Powell, this is a surprise. And I said, I know, I wanted to surprise you. Anyway, he came down, and we had a hug, and chatted a little bit, and he said, I have to get ready. And I said, yeah, no worries. So my sister and I stayed, and we watched the show, and it was great. They invited us for dinner afterwards, and it wasn't a perfect evening. It was a little bit awkward, but we had really a lot of fun. We met some really great people. We danced, and we just had fun. And at the end of the night, we got up and said goodbye. And he came up to me, and he hugged me. And I remember feeling a little bit like, what's happening? And then he pulled back, and it was almost like he was going to grab my face, but he didn't. He just looked at me with such compassion and said, it was really nice to see you, Kathy. And I feel like I didn't really hear it. My sister was the one who actually heard it. My ears, I think, were ringing. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And the embrace ended, and I made some kind of joke and said, oh, he called me or whatever, and said goodbye, and off we went. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. I thought, is this like a romantic thing? Like, what's happening? And there was no, trust me, it was not romantic. So it was like, I was very unsettled. We went back to the hotel, went to sleep, got up early in the morning, and we went to Dundurn. and that's where we went to Blackstrap, and that's where John and I, that was where it all began. And it was much harder than I thought it was going to be. And I was just standing there. I was holding on, and I had so much confusion. And I reached out to him, to John, and really was just so confused. And I thanked him for the life that we had and for loving me and that I still love him. And I let the ashes go. But my heart felt so heavy. We got in the car, drove back, and it had been this nagging thing, like, what did this hug mean? It was a hug that was between two old friends who really don't know each other anymore. It was a hug from a person who showed me some compassion. And I realized, after sitting with all of this, like, what the heck is happening to me? What am I doing? And feeling guilty and feeling all the things that really I didn't need. I guess I needed to feel, but I just really was confused. But I realized that I was looking for a feeling. I was searching for a feeling, not a relationship. And in that moment, that hug was everything and nothing, if that makes sense. But I realized I wasn't looking for a relationship. I was looking for a feeling. And it made me really tap into, like, what? Hugs and physical touch. And so I did some reading and research, and I want to share with you about hugs. We need hugs as humans because we are wired for connection, physically, emotionally, and neurologically. Why do hugs matter? Touch is our first language. Before we can speak, we are held. Skin-to-skin contact is how babies learn safety and love. That need never goes away. Hugs release good chemicals. Oxytocin, often called the love hormone, is released when we hug someone. It calms our nervous system, lowers stress, reduces blood pressure, and helps us feel bonded to each other. They regulate our nervous system. A good hug can bring us out of a state of panic, disconnection. Pardon me. It tells our bodies we are safe and we are not alone. Hugs bridge the gap between words. When there are no right things to say, when grief is heavy or joy overflows, a hug becomes the answer. They validate our existence. To be held is to be seen and accepted as we are. Hugs say, I'm here, you matter, you're real. They help us remember we are human. Especially in grief, after trauma, or in loneliness, a hug can anchor us back to our bodies, our breath, and the truth that love still exists, even in the absence of the one we miss. We don't outgrow the need for hugs. We may go longer between them. We may forget until we are wrapped in someone's arms again and realize how much we've craved it. And that's exactly what happened to me. I didn't realize how much I needed a hug. And for a grieving person, the absence or presence of a hug can feel monumental. When someone you love dies, everything in you aches for the presence that is no longer there. You miss their voice, their laugh, their warmth, but often it's the absence of their touch that hits us the hardest. No more hand to hold, no more arms wrapped around you, no more feeling safe in their embrace. The body still longs for what the heart has lost. Grief isn't just emotional, it's physical. Our nervous systems still expect familiar touch, the morning hug, the goodnight kiss. When it's gone, the body can still feel starved for that connection. Touch can soothe the ache that words can't. Grieving people often hear, I don't know what to say. Well, sometimes words aren't needed. A sincere hug can say, I'm with you. I feel this too, you're not alone. Many grievers go without touch for long periods. Widows, widowers, people grieving estranged relationships, child loss may go days, weeks, or months without a meaningful hug. This can deepen the loneliness and make grief feel even heavier. Receiving a hug can reawaken longing and sadness. Sometimes a hug reminds you of the one you used to get from the person you lost. It can open up the floodgates. It doesn't mean it's bad, it means it mattered. Grief is love continuing on, and touch can be the language it still speaks. Being held helps the body remember safety. When grief shatters your sense of stability, a gentle, loving hug helps re-regulate your nervous system. It says you're held, even in your sadness. You're still here. You're still loved. And I really, really felt the reawakening, the longing, and the sadness after that hug. And if you're there, if you're feeling this, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means that you need to feel safe. You need to feel love. And it doesn't have to be romantic or intimate. It can just be a hug from someone who matters in your life. So if you're there, I send you love. I wish I could hug you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're grieving, and grief is heavy. It ebbs and flows, and each day brings with it something different to experience, something different to learn, a new way to grow. If you're looking for or in need of support, please go to my website, www.kathypowell.ca. I have many things to offer. I can sit with you. I can hear you. We can work together.